What is up, guys? It is finally here. UFC 328 fight week. We got a massive card, top to bottom, 13 bouts. We are going to predict all of them, guys. The main event is going to be crazy, guys. Just looking at this entire card, look, we got their main event very good. We have here Joshua Van Tatsuro Taira. We got Waldo Volkov fighting Waldo Cortes Acosta. We got Sean Brady fighting Joaquin Buckley. And then we got two OGs, Bobby Green and Jeremy Stevens. We got our Turbo Garnier and Ozzy Diaz, which okay. We got a very good fight, Alvarez and Yaroslav Amosov. We got a great Dawson, Mateusz, Rebecki. Could go either way. Jim Miller, Jared Gordon. We got a Roman Kaliviev versus Marco Tulio. Pat Shabanti versus William Gomis. We got Susurkaev and Santos. And we got Clayton Carpenter versus Jose Ochoa. We got a stat card here, guys. But without any further ado, let's get into the video. Alright, obviously we got a first. Clayton Carpenter and Jose Ochoa. This fight, to start off the card, very good fight. You got Jose Ochoa, who's prioritized as a striker. Yeah, Ochoa, guys. He's a very good striker with decent grappling and decent submission defense. Clayton Carpenter's a good striker as well. Very good, very good grappler. Let's take a look at his last 5 fights. One is against in DWCS against Edgar Sanchez. Came into UFC, beat Juan Camilo Ranos, which was a very good submission win. Beat Lucas Rachia, which was also a very good submission win, and then did lose to Tiger Umbakoyev, which was a decent loss. Then this loss I thought was good. It was a decent loss until we saw what happened 2 weeks ago. Jonathan Fillo, listen man, Jonathan Fillo, we all thought he was underrated at one point, but then he just crapped the bed with Cody Djorden 2 weeks ago, which was very surprising because Cody Djorden had to take that fight on 4 weeks on no not 4 weeks 4 days notice, and was on a 5 days notice, and was on a 4 fight losing streak. So yeah, that loss kind of didn't really age well. As for Ochoa, he won against Jefferson Pereira, beat Juan Cullinan Pantoja, who was undefeated at the time. Got into the UFC, lost to Lana Carlavachi, which Lana Carlavachi is currently one of the top 10 best flyweights in the world right now. Beat Cody Djorden, which I think that's a big win. At first I didn't, but just looking how Cody Djorden looked against Philo, very good. And then his most recent fight against Asul Mabayev, which to be fair, he took that fight on like a 3 weeks notice, if I'm not mistaken. Listen, this is a good fight. This is basically like a grappler versus a striker, but just because Ochoa is prioritized as a striker, he still has some good grappling. He can survive the submission threats. He's fought some good jiu-jitsu fighters outside of the UFC. I would say the only one that's close to jiu-jitsu is Anshu Alabayev. But other than that, no one other than that. He's a good fighter. He's still very young. I know people are considering him his last loss to Eshu, but to be honest, guys, 3 weeks notice. I'm gonna be honest, man. He looks okay, but he has a lot of he can pack a punch sometimes. Even Eshu was having trouble with the striking. He had to keep it on the. He tried to keep it on the ground more in the fight. He wasn't trying to deal with all that. And yeah, just looking at his last fight against Philo, I was very surprised that kind of starting loss. Like I said, just looking how Phil looked against Cody Djorden, and I am still hella surprised that Cody Djorden managed to pull off that win. I'm gonna pick Jose Ochoa to win this by decision, guys. I know there was some of you guys thinking he may knock out Clayton Carpenter, which I think Clayton Carpenter could survive. It's going to be a competitive fight. I can see this turning out to be a 29-28 decision win here. Unanimous decision win for Jose Ochoa. But if Clayton Carpenter can pressure him against the cage, try and finish this fight very early, I can see him winning the fight. But I feel like if he can't submit him in the first round, maybe that's when Jose Ochoa will start, packing him up, sending him to the, sending him in the backwood, basically. But other than that, this is a good fight overall. good fight overall, but I got Jose Ochoa winning this fight by a decision. Next up, we got up here in the middleweight division, Baisangur, Zernikanov versus Djorden Santos. Man, listen, guys, this is a good fight. This could be a good fight. I like Bansor. I like Bansorger, but like the thing is about him, he's a very cocky fighter. Like looking at his debut fight against Eric Nolan, obviously short notice for both fighters. They were supposed to fight. No, they weren't supposed to fight nobody, but that was after he got his contender series win. But listen, man, he nearly was finishing that first round, guys. And to be honest, guys, I think Eric Nolan, even though he lost against Hunter, against Hunter, which had his nickname, I feel like he was an underrated fighter outside the UFC, and I can still see him becoming a world champion one day. But like he keeps his hands down. But yeah, he was very cocky in that fight. He almost got knocked out, and then he fought Eric McConnell, which we saw how Eric McConnell looked against Rodolfo Ferreira back 2 weeks ago as well. But like, I feel like he should have finished this guy in the first round. It took him the third round to finally knock this dude out. Very surprising. That's how cocky he is. And in the beginning of the fight, when it comes to Shakur Santos, Shakur, he's very explosive in the beginning. He's very explosive in the beginning. Obviously, he has a problem with his cardio. You can kind of see that. We saw that in his Ozzy Diaz fight, which I kind of thought he was gonna win. So upset that Ozzy Diaz won that fight. Then beat Danny Barlow, which I feel like Danny Barlow's kind of a disappointment. No disrespect to those people like Danny Barlow, but like kind of surprised he won that fight as well. That was an upset too. But like, hey, Danny Barlow was kind of a disappointment. But so if Santos can not if Santos catches this dude clean, Santos is knocking this dude out. I wouldn't be surprised just how cocky Bansor is, but also he is young. I feel like sometimes the young fighters are very cocky. Those are mainly those young fighters. The old fighters are kind of not. Even though obviously Santos isn't old or nothing, but like just by looking at him, he does not look 28. This man looks like he's at least in his 50s. But anyway, that's besides the point. That's besides the point, though. What I think once he gets tired, that's when Cernikov will have a better chance. I believe when Santos is in the beginning, I feel like he may just beat the dog crap out of Cernikov. That's just him. That's the only reason why I say that. You guys may think I'm kind of crazy for that, but the reason why I see that playing out, cause we all know, Cernikov is young and cocky, very cocky. But I see Cernikov winning this fight by submission in the third round, where Santos is gassed, doesn't know what to do. Because like we obviously saw that in his Ozzy Diaz fight, which to be fair, Ozzy Diaz in my opinion is an okay fighter, good striker, but like not I don't think he's UFC material. But like I said, if Santos can find a way to get the early knockout, that'll be good for him. That'll be a big win, especially after coming off a win over Danny Barlow, who's kind of, like I said, kind of a disappointment. But give me Zernikov to finish him and submit him in the third round. Next up, we got up in the featherweight division. We have up here is Pat Shabanti and William Gomis. What an interesting fight, guys. I am very excited to see this fight. It's either Pat Shabanti kind of ragdolls him or William Gomis kind of picks him up on the feet. Because, we've obviously seen Pat Shabanti get freaking, demolished by people who hit hard, like Damon Jackson, Diego, his most recent loss that he had. Obviously it was 2 years ago, but like the last loss he had over Diego Lopez, which, to be fair, you can't be mad at that loss. Diego Lopez is one of the best featherweights in the world right now. But looking at his other wins, he had some impressive wins. Beat Lucas Almeida, who Lucas Almeida is a decent fighter. Then went in to beat Jonathan Pierce, which I feel like we all knew that was going to happen. Demolished Jorson Berto. Then beat Chepe Marshall, which I kind of thought he was going to lose that fight, actually. As William Gomis, had a split decision fight over Francis Marshall. We saw how dominant Francis Marshall looked recently. Beat Yanis Gormori. Had a split decision fight over Jorson Berto. Very surprising. Lost to Hyper Almi. Hyper Almi is a good fighter, but I think that was the last time he ever won a fight. Was William Gomis. Right now he's on like a 2-fight losing skit right now. and then most recently beat Robert Rochella. Listen, man, William Gomez it's kind of like a Leon Edwards. He doesn't fight like Leon Edwards, but he hesitates a lot. Leon Edwards we've seen Leon Edwards in the before hesitate so much in this fight. But Pat Shavanti, he's kind of like I wouldn't say a better version of Ben Askren, but he's kind of like a Ben Askren, except he's a better striker than Ben Askren. When Ben Askren was in the UFC, he had no striking ability. He would just have wrestling. That's kind of like what we've been kind of seeing for Pat Shavanti. And if they're just as good as wrestlers as Pat Shavanti will lose the fight. That's how Pat Shavanti is. Pat Shavanti, in my opinion, his wrestling is decent, but like in my opinion, has some underrated jiu-jitsu. And William Gomez needs to be very explosive with the strike in this fight. He throws like 4 strikes per minute, and that's kind of a low, and that kind of leads him to a lot of split decision, either losses or wins. Either one of the two. But the question I have for William Gomez is that will he handle the takedown defense, and will he handle the wrestling? Because I feel like the grappling hasn't really been fully tested for William Gomez as of his UFC careers so far. So I believe if Pat Shavanti can, test it, I think he may get tired, and I think Pat Shavanti wins this fight by a unanimous decision. 30-27 may sound kind of wild, but I think William Gomez the way he looked against Yanis, he was very explosive with the strike in that fight. I think that's how he has to look in this fight with Pat Shavanti, because same thing's been happening. Even his fight over with Rocello. Actually, that fight with Rocello was a little more explosive, I would say. And that's how like I said, that's just how he needs to be in this fight with Pat Shavanti if he wants any chance of winning this fight. But if Pat Shavanti keeps this fight on the ground at all times, he's going to dominate him. So now, yeah, that's who I got winning Pat Shavanti by unanimous decision. Now we go up in the middleweight division. Our feature bout in the early prelims. Roman Kaliviev versus Marco Trulio. Listen, I don't know what the hell you guys are talking about Marco Trulio winning this fight, but I think Roman could possibly win this fight because, like, you guys are looking at, oh, bro, he lost to Paulo Costa, lost to Greg Rodriguez, man. He hasn't been looking that impressive. Since when the hell is Marco Trulio as good as Paulo Costa and Greg Rodriguez? Since when the hell has he ever been? His fight IQ is super low. He keeps his chin up. Like, he had an impressive win coming into the UFC against Iron Patara, beat Trey Sungor, 2 impressive wins, but then got freaking destroyed by CLD, which CLD is a good fighter. I don't know if Kalivia is beating him, obviously, but like, you guys are, but he got hit a lot in that fight. He keeps his chin up, tries to go forward like you. That's already no. If someone fights like that, and let's say they're just like this and they're stalling, they may have good fight IQ, but they just don't know how to keep their chin down. But if you're just going someone like this with your chin up, that's instantly low fighting IQ, and that's instantly you losing a fight. Instantly matter of you losing a fight, because looking at Khaliv's last few fights, he got destroyed by Anthony Hernandez, who's currently one of the top 10 best fighters in the midweight division. Beat Cesar Almeida, good win. And then beat Chris Curtis in the last second of the bell, which was a very fun and entertaining fight. And all of a sudden, he just, got that head kick knockout. Lost to Paulo Costa, which he actually looked phenomenal in that fight. That was a very good fight, very entertaining. Then he got destroyed by Greg Rodriguez. But let's be for real, guys. Marco Trulio is not going 3 rounds is not even surviving the first round with Greg Rodriguez. This dude would get knocked out in a second. It'll be like a chef's kiss, bro. And listen, man. The thing is about Roman, he has good high kicks. He's a good Muay Thai fighter. Boxing, decent. But he kind of waits a little too long. He doesn't hesitate. He just kind of waits a little bit too long. There could be a right moment, and he just doesn't. And he just kind of waits it out a little bit. That head kick knockout against Chris Curtis. I'm not saying he would have. He's getting completely dominated, but like he nearly was close to losing that fight. All of a sudden, he got that head kick knockout. Listen, I like Marco Trulio, but there's no way I see him winning this fight, guys. Roman Kaliviev will knock him out in the second round, guys, with a very good head kick. This dude's gonna get freaking. He may get knocked out in the first round for all we know, guys. But I don't see Marco Trulio winning this fight at all. I don't think there's any possible way of him winning this fight. It's still an entertaining fight. I'm still very tuned, but like you guys got to be so for real. Be so for real, guys. You guys know damn well that Marco Trulio is not winning this fight. Okay, listen. If Marco Trulio wins this fight, you guys can tag me in the comments about that. All y'all want, but I'm just saying, like, I just don't see him winning this fight. And I don't even know if there's any key thing ways for him to win at this point. I know there's always is, but like for this fight, I don't see. He just gotta keep his chin down. Be very aggressive. He's probably gonna have to be in Kalivia's face because Kalivia is the long ranging fighter. He's gonna keep the distance, and Marco Trulio is going to get frustrated, guys. See, I would say if I was Marco Trulio, I was trying to close the distance as soon as possible. Other than that, if he can't do that, Kalivia is going to dominate all night. Next up, we got up in the opener of the prelims. We got up is my boy Jim A10 Miller versus Jared Flash Gordon, bro. Listen, man, Jim Miller's been in the UFC for I don't even know how long. Looking at it, let's take a look at his resume. Just taking a look at Jim Miller's resume. Look at this. Been in the UFC since 2008, guys. Late 2000s. Been in the UFC. Fought at UFC 100, aka one of the biggest events that the UFC has ever had. It's been around for so many years, bro. Has some of the most bonuses. Has in total. The guy has a lot of bonuses. In total, 15 bonuses, and has a very good calf kick. Like if you go here, look at this fight with Dustin Poirier. Dustin Poirier, they even said that how good that head kick, that calf kick is of Jim Miller. But the thing is, the problem is here with Jim Miller is that looking at his loss to Bobby Green, the striking volume. Listen, when Bobby Green was popping him with that jab, bro, Jim Miller was getting affected, bro. And he couldn't land the takedowns that he wanted to. And Jared Gordon, in my opinion, has some underrated striking. Listen, he's been on a roll. Obviously had that no contest with that clash of headbutts with Bobby Green. But then right after that, beat Mark Madsen. Lost to Nasharat, which could have gone either way. Had a very good, impressive win over Thiago Moises. Then, lost to Rafa Garcia. Before that, he had got into like a car accident or something after the ceremonial weigh-in. So, fact that you got to give him credit for that, bro. That takes a lot of heart to do, bro. Who the hell's going and still fighting after freaking, getting freaking hit, hit by a car or something like that. But listen, Jim Miller, what he needs to do if he wants to have success in the beginning of the fight, he needs to start off by using that calf kick. Because even though his calf kick may not be as good as what it used to be, he still has a very good calf. He still has a very good calf kick, but it obviously was more effective in his prime. Go ask Dustin Poirier. You can literally ask Dustin Poirier that, guys, and he would most likely tell you how bad that calf kick was. Even Joe Rogan, till his day, kind of talks about that calf kick that Jim Miller throws at Dustin Poirier. So if he needs to throw that calf kick. Once he throws enough calf kicks at him, because mind you, you need your legs. The thing is that what's stopping the takedowns is that you're moving with your, like, this is what the people don't understand. People are like, oh, how do they still can't defend the takedowns? Because some people, like, I don't know if you guys do, but I have friends who be like, how the hell do they still, how they can't defend the takedowns after a leg kick? Because a leg, your leg is getting damaged, especially if they're hitting it right in the shin. Your leg is getting damaged. And then the fact is that you're gonna have to defend the takedowns. Your majority of it is your lower body and mainly your legs. Your legs is is trying to stop the takedowns. But if your legs are damaged, it makes it harder because your legs hurt. Your legs are damaged. You're trying to defend it, but you can't defend it as how you want to. It's because your legs are hurt, and it's even like that for wrestlers. I have a friend who asked me, listen, when they hit because he watched the UFC too. He says listen, when they hit someone's legs and they're wrestlers and they're trying to land a takedown, how come they can't land the takedowns? Don't they just grab their legs? That's because, mind you, also wrestling, you're mainly using your lower body. But combat sports, like if you're throwing punches, you're using your hips and your lower body. But if you can't, if your legs are damaged, the takedowns are not going to work as good as if you want to, and that's the same thing for striking. Your punches are not going to come out as hard as you want to because you're not just it's not your upper body. You're not using your shoulder to throw the punch to put power in your punch. You're using your hip and your lower body to use it. So if it's damaged, you're not going to hit as hard as what you want to. So this is what makes this fight very interesting. And Djorden technically was the first person to beat Paddy Pimblett, guys. Technically was. I thought he did. That was a very big robbery. And I think that Djorden is going to knock out Jim Miller in a late round stoppage. No, TKO late round stoppage. I believe it. I think Jim Miller, is going to get damaged in this fight very bad. I don't think he's going to play it smart. Obviously, if I were him, I would go with the old Alex Pereira. And if he wants to have wrestling in the beginning of the fight, I would go ahead, pull up a Mark Coleman. Because when Mark Coleman was fighting, Mark Coleman would pressure you with his wrestling instantly. After 10 seconds of the fight, try and just, land hella takedowns on you. That was Mark Coleman. That's what Jim Miller needs to do. Obviously, there's different styles. And obviously, it's, weight classes are different. But, you're an old school fighter, too. Try and do the same thing. If I'm not mistaken, Jim Miller does have over 50 fights in the UFC. But that is also besides the point. But I think Djorden's boxing is what's going to help him win this fight against Jim Miller. He has to defend the takedowns, defend the submissions, because Jim Miller has some good submissions for a very good wrestler. So that's my final prediction: Djorden by knockout in the third round. Next up, we got up another banger in the lightweight division as well. Grant Dawson versus Mateusz Rebecki. It's a very good fight. It's either Grant Dawson gets ragdolls Mateusz, or Mateusz just knocks this dude out. Cause the weakness of Rebecki is that he can be very explosive in the beginning of the fight, but then his cardio kind of fades away, and he also could be kind of predictable sometimes. He'd be doing some most sloppy overhands that Grant Dawson can just go swipe over, duck under, and then just land a takedown. But looking at the last 5 fights, Mateusz Rebecki beat Rosette Roberts. Then lost to Diego Ferreira, but then had a very good fight against Orbal, when, mind you, that was at 155. Orbal seems to have better success at 170. Look how he looks back in March against Chris Curtis. Lost to Chris Duncan, another very good fight. Lost to Levette Clan, who's a very good striker. It was also a good fight. Mateusz Rebecki has gotten fight of the night 3 times in his last 3 appearances in the UFC. And listen, that is very good, but also he needs to play it smart. He wants to entertain the fans, and I believe this could be an easy night for Rebecki, because looking at Grant Dawson's last 5 fights, losing to Bobby Green. Hey, listen, Bobby Green, we saw how he looked against Daniel Zallenberg. But for you to get knocked out by him in 33 seconds, very crazy. When they beat Joe Slolecki, beat Rafa Garcia, which I don't even know how the hell that even happened, bro. I think that was an upset in my opinion. I did not expect him to beat Rafa Garcia, bro. And then he goes ahead and beats Diego Ferreira, even more of an upset, man. I didn't think he was going to beat Rafa Garcia or Diego Ferreira, and then I thought he was going to beat Manel Torres because, I had a very big upset because Rafa Garcia and Diego Ferreira, but nah. He played that game horribly. He striked with him the entire time, but the thing is about that, I think I know what came wrong in that fight. He saw Manel Torres submit his homeboy Chris Duncan, and he's like, okay, I don't want that smoke, bro. I don't want him to submit me as well. But at the time, Chris Duncan was still coming up, if I'm not mistaken. If we take a look at that on record, yeah, that was still when he was still coming up in the UFC. That was his 4th appearance. So, and after that was on an impressive run after that. So, can't really be the most upset about that loss, and he should have had played it smarter. I think he should have landed a takedown very quickly against Manel Torres. But didn't play it good, and I would pull up a Khamzat if I was Grant Dawson. I would just pull up a make a repeat of Grant Dawson and of DDP and Khamzat Chimaev. That's the type, that's what he needs to do in this fight if he wants to have success in this fight. And I think Mateusz Rebecki knocks him out in the first round, guys. You know, once you catch him clean, you know, he can survive some of the outputs. Then once you catch him clean, it's over. There's no way this bro will win this fight. It'll legit be over for him. If Grant Dawson, I would love. Actually want Grant to my surprise. For once, I actually want Grant Dawson to win this fight, but I just don't think he's going to win this fight. At first, I was going to pick him because of the wrestling, but then rewatching his fight with Manel Torres, rewatching his fight with Bobby Green, it just kind of shows that he can be easily chinned. Kind of a worser version of Dominic Reyes, in my opinion. Just a terrible chin in general. Never, in my opinion, never really had a good chin. Well, I wouldn't say he had a good chin at all, but then we started to see how bad his chin was after that Bobby Green fight. So give me Mateusz Rebecki to knock him out in the first round. Next up, we go up in the welterweight division. Next up, we got Joel Alvarez and Yaroslav Amosov. What a very good fight that I am looking forward into. This is probably the most exciting fight on the prelims. If I'm not mistaken, Amosov did get rank number 15. Well, supposedly rank number 14. They still haven't found out who's rank number 14, who's rank number 15. I think they're gonna find that out Tuesday once. Because if you check on the rankings, D-Rod and Amosov is both ranked number 14. But anyway, that's besides the point. Listen, man, these are good fighters, but like, I've been seeing Amosov's fights in Bellator, but like, listen, man, his first loss to Jason Jackson, man. Jason Jackson's a good striker, but it kind of showed on how bad he can get knocked out. And Joel Alvarez, man, he lost to Arman Tsarukyan, which, Arman Tsarukyan is currently the number one fighter at 155. Beat Mark Darkshee, Elvin Brainers, Dark Close, Vicente Luque. That was a fight where he could just beat the dog crap out of the dude. And we saw Vicente Luque looked against Calvin Gastelum at UFC 327. He looked absolutely phenomenal in that fight. Listen, I'm about to go a little bit back and forth, but Joel Alvarez, once you get his back on the ground, it may be kind of wrapped up for him. And to be honest, man, Joel Alvarez is a big guy. I thought when he was at 155, that was a very terrible idea. He missed weight like twice, I think, in the weight class. So him moving up to 170, he looked absolutely phenomenal. But he has a tough fight right here. Almost saw. I can see this being the best prelim of the night. Do I see this being the best fight of the night? Not necessarily. I think as long as this fight stays on the feet, Joel Alvarez has the chance of winning this fight. But as long as he stays on the ground, especially if he gets Joel Alvarez's back, that favors Amosov any time of the day. But like, I could see this fight going either way. I've been going a little bit back and forth. At first I was going to go with Joel Alvarez, but then I said Amosov. Then I went back to Joel Alvarez, Amosov, and it's just been kind of tricky, guys. It's been tricky, and I'm going to go ahead and pick Amosov to submit Joel Alvarez in the third round. Listen, man, I know Joel Alvarez is good. I believe he can survive the output, but once I think the later rounds hit, I believe that's when Amosov can submit him. But as long as he has the takedown defense, keeps his fight on the feet, he won't knock out Amosov. Because obviously, he got knocked out by Jason Jackson. Jason Jackson, obviously, I'm a fan of Jason Jackson, but like, for that to happen is diabolical. I mean, then also before that, I did beat Logan Storley and won the belt. Logan Storley's a good fighter. I think that was his biggest win. Obviously, beat Curtis Millender, who was kind of old at the time. Got in the UFC, beat Nigel Magny. Hey, I feel like we all saw the outcome of that fight. And Neo Magny is kind of old, guys. So it's very, Vicente Luque is old, it was kind of old too. So they're both coming off fighters who are kind of old, or at the point it's kind of old. But I just see Yaroslav just getting the rear naked choke in this fight, guys. And that's how I see it playing out. Next up, we got Oh my, this is a fight where, listen, man, we got Arturo Garnier and Ozzy Diaz. They need to stop putting Ozzy Diaz with bums, bro. You know, I get it. He beat Yaroslav Nato outside the UFC. It was against on DWCS. Makes sense. Beat Jose Mendita. Debut fight. I get it. Then beats Robert Valentin. Beats Trayson Vine, which was supposed to be him fighting him, but, pulled out. Pulayev, which, to be honest, to be fair, bro, that was still a very interesting fight. And you would think by now, after just beating up four bums, that they would give him a top 15 fighter. No, they're giving him another bum. Listen, man, I'm picking Arturo Garnier to knock this dude out in the first round, guys. We all know the outcome of this fight. Listen, these 2% people who think Ozzy Diaz is gonna win is probably his family members, so we don't gotta worry about that. But he needs to knock out Ozzy Diaz in the first round, because I feel like they were going to, for some reason, I feel like they were going to give him a top 15 fighter against Pulayev, but I feel like what happened was it went the distance after everyone thought he was going to knock this dude out in the first round. I get it, but hey, Pulayev played it smart though. Pulayev was just trying to survive using his defense, because Pulayev always had good defense. He just been scared ever since he got into the UFC. Just been kind of scared, of hesitating, just freaking blocking. But like he was moving around the octagon, kind of picking his shots. There were times where he did almost get finished, but Arturo Garnier, I think he's the middleweight version of Francis Ngannou. Still, you're always gonna have those decision wins that you don't think is gonna happen. It's the UFC, but like, listen, Ozzy Diaz is not a smart fighter. He got caught off guard trying to freaking just brawl with Joe Pyfer. Joe Pyfer does have heavy hands, bro. Hands with Canelo. Beat Chuck Campbell. Beat Bervan Lewis. Came to the UFC, beat Jang Ming Young. Same thing, bro. Gets cooked. Then beats Djorden Santos, decent win, but like he's not UFC material, guys. This is gonna be very obvious, bro. If he knocks out Ozzy Diaz in the first round and they still give him bums, like the UFC's are trying. I think you're trying to build him up, but like you guys already built him up enough. He'll be on like a freaking what? He's on. I don't even know what streak he's on. I think he's on like a freaking 9-fight winning streak, and 4 in the UFC. About to be 5 in the UFC. Like, why not give him a top 15 guy? I would love to. Who would I love to see him fight? Shoot, I would love to see him fight. I don't know. I would love to see him fight Roman Dolidze, even though that may sound like a bum. But like, shoot, bro. Like, there's not really that much options right now. But anywho, Ozzy Diaz getting knocked out. And by the way, I had a comment. So yeah, I had a short video when this fight was announced that it was bullcrap. I had a comment. Like, we go over here, listen. This guy right here, simped down 114.04. If you're watching this video, guy, I don't think I forgot about that comment, bro. Ozzy Diaz Ozzy Diaz will get knocked out. I am very surprised that anybody actually picks Ozzy Diaz to win that fight. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that sim down 114.04 video guy. I will be responding to your comment once Arturo Garnier knocks him out. Immediately. This is an easier pick than me freaking walking outside, guys. This is easier for me picking Arturo Garnier for me walking outside, guys. And he will demolish Ozzy Diaz in this fight. Next up, we can move up, and we got up now in the main cards. 2 OGs. We got up is King Bobby Green versus Lil Heathen Jeremy Stephens, bro. Listen, man, I never was a huge fan of Jeremy Stephens whatsoever. But look at his last 5 fights. Lost to Matthias Gamrot. Went into the PFL, lost to Clay Carter, which was very surprising. Beat Malice Price, which in a split decision, which was also very surprising. Beats Nathan Scarry, and it loses them, comes back and beats Mason Jones, which we're starting to see how good Mason Jones is. He's been doing some bare knuckle fighting events as of recently. His most recent one was against Mike Perry, which I already knew he was losing to Mike Perry. But Bobby Green, training for bare knuckle fighting and then training for the UFC is different. There's no wrestling. All there is just freaking throwing hands with no boxing gloves. Bobby Green's been training for actual MMA. Him beating Jim Miller, then he went in and beat lost to Patty Pimblett, lost to Mauricio Rufy, but listen, you guys may think this is surprising, but for some reason I feel like Jeremy Stephens would beat Patty Pimblett, and I believe Mauricio Rufy would beat Jeremy Stephens. Then lose to Lance Gibson Jr. Lance Gibson Jr. would be maybe be Jeremy Stephens, and then Daniel Zallerberg beat Daniel Zallerberg. I think Jeremy Stephens beat Daniel Zallerberg, but hey, looks very impressive. But here's the thing I will say about this, guys. Listen, I actually forgot that Jeremy Stephens was still fighting in the UFC until this fight was announced. Like, I legit forgot about him. I knew, obviously, I know who Jeremy Stephens is. I just forgot about the dude because, he hasn't fought in the UFC since March. I even forgot he fought Mason Jones until I went in and checked his record, bro. So, yeah. Bobby Green should win this one. Obviously, the battle of OGs, but Bobby Green needs to be cautious of this fight. Jeremy Stephens still has them hands, and we've obviously seen Jeremy Stephens put people out cold on the canvas before. If he is very cocky in this fight, which we have seen him against Patty Pimblett, who submitted him, he got cocky in that fight with Rufy. He will get knocked out, guys. That will happen. He has to be very cautious. He has to, pop that jab, move around, use that Philly shell style that you have. Don't just stay in the pocket, try and freaking flip him off, talk to him. If you talk to him, do this. Just, try and, keep his hands low. Try and move out the way. In my opinion, I feel like these guys are kind of overrated. Obviously, I am a fan of Bobby Green. I do wish that I wish he had better fight IQ. But, here's the thing about this. I've said this in previous videos about Bobby Green. If you were to replace his fight IQ and replace it for a fight IQ like George St. Pierre, he would be way better. Obviously, he probably would have fight like GSP, but you guys get what I'm pointing. Like, any person besides people like Dan Hooker, like, if you play even like a John Jones fight IQ, he would be a way better fighter if he had at least better fight IQ. I think he would have been a world champion. At the stage of his career is 39. So is Jeremy Stephens, but this is still a very fun and entertaining fight. But I got Bobby Green winning this fight. Only way I see Jeremy Stephens winning this fight is if he knocks him out. Other than that, that's it. Next up, we got up is Sean Brady versus New Massa Joaquin Buckley. Listen, guys, this is a very fun and entertaining fight. I'm very excited to see this fight. You got Joaquin Buckley, who, came in to beat Vicente Luque. It looked like Vicente Luque gave up in that fight. Beat Nurse Assault, demolished him. So kind of surprised that Nurse Assault survived those 3 rounds. Beat Stephen Thompson. Beat the dog crap out of Kobe Covington. Honestly, it wasn't prime Kobe Covington. Lost to Kamaru Usman. Here's what I don't get where y'all coming from. I asked one of my friends, who do you got winning between Sean Brady and Joaquin Buckley? He said, I got Sean Brady because looking at Joaquin's fight with Kamaru Usman. When the hell has Sean Brady ever been better than Kamaru Usman? Listen, I think as of right now, Sean Brady would beat Kamaru Usman. Just looking at the stage of Kamaru Usman's career. But when the hell has he ever been better? Has Sean Brady ever been better? Matter of fact, Kamaru Usman has better striking than Kamaru. Matter of fact, Kamaru's the better fighter than Sean Brady. I think because, Kamaru Usman isn't at the best stage of his career, very inactive as of right now. I think that's why I would favor Sean Brady. But, looking at his fights, got beat by Bilal Muhammad. Listen, Bilal Muhammad's a good fighter, but the fact is how you got freaking TKO'd by the guy. Very surprising because Bilal Muhammad's striking is decent, but, not for you to get TKO'd. Submitted Calvin Gastelum in the 3rd round, which we saw Vicente Luque already submitted him in the the 5th round, the 1st round. Beat Gilbert Burns, beat the former champ Leon Edwards, which was a very impressive win. Right after that, lost to Michael Morales, which I thought that was a fight he could have won. But listen, Joaquin Buckley and Michael Morales are probably the most dangerous fighters in the welterweight division. I think Michael Morales is the 2nd most dangerous. Joaquin Buckley is the most dangerous fighter in the welterweight division, guys. And now that it's a 3-round fight, I favor Joaquin Buckley. Listen, I know some of you guys actually favor Joaquin Buckley if it was a 5-round fight. But listen. Just listen here. I think Joaquin Buckley does better when he's in 3 round fights. Listen, we only see him in 5 round fights only twice. To Kobe Covington and Kamaru Usman, if I'm not mistaken. Let's take a look at it. You know what? Matter of fact, let's take a look at his record. Listen. Let's take a look. 3 round fights, 3 round fights. Listen, let's take a look at all these fights. Majority of these are 3 round fights, and then his last 2 fights were 5 round fights. So you guys, we don't know how good he is with 5 round fights yet. He's 1-1 in 5 round fights. And Sean Brady, man, once you catch him off guard, it's kind of the same thing a little bit with Grant Dawson. Obviously, they don't fight the same, and I feel like he could survive a little more. But how I see this playing out is I see Sean Brady having success in the first round, and then the second and third rounds where Joaquin Buckley will demolish this guy. And I think Joaquin Buckley beats the dog crap out of him and beats him in the third round. But Joaquin Buckley, guys, he has a very slick overcut, very good striker. And listen, he's in, if I'm not mistaken, he's in training camp with Kamaru Usman right now. He could be training with Kamaru Usman as we speak, as you guys are watching this video right now. But yeah, as for Sean Brady, man, his strike has not evolved, man. Has not really evolved. His striking is okay. His striking didn't really look that good against fight with Michael Morales, and he striked with him the entire time because he couldn't find the way to land those takedowns. I just don't see him landing as much takedowns in this fight with Joaquin Buckley. Joaquin Buckley is big as hell and is very strong, and I think that's going to overwhelm. They can finish him early for all we know. Which I feel like it's kind of obvious that Joaquin Buckley will win this fight, guys. I don't see Sean Brady beating Joaquin Buckley, guys. You guys may think, oh, you're crazy for that. But it's like you guys compare him to Kamaru Usman. What has Sean Brady done that Kamaru Usman hasn't, bro? And don't say he handled a leg kick better than Kamaru Usman. That's besides the point. Like, I'm talking about, like, legacy. What has Sean Brady done that Kamaru Usman hasn't done better? Kamaru Usman, former world champion, is a former world champion, had one of the greatest fights twice with Kobe Covington, when Kobe Covington was at the best of his career. Nearly beat Khamzat Chimaev, which I don't think Sean Brady would have a chance of doing. So nearly that's the whole point. And Sean Brady, he's kind of a small guy, shorter reach, and I think the reach advantage is what's going to help Joaquin Buckley in this fight. That's kind of what helped Mike Morales manage to knock out with Sean Brady, because when Sean Brady tried to go in close, Michael Morales just knocked him out. But I got Joaquin Buckley winning this fight. I think Sean Brady will have to, make it a fight on the ground. Try and I would, if I was Sean Brady, I would try and make it boring on the ground, because if you try to make it entertaining on the ground as well, you're gonna most likely get cooked. Just make it boring and try to keep him, and not try and lay on top of him, but just I would say I wouldn't try and lay on top of him. I wouldn't call it necessarily boring, but just try and freaking pull up, try and do what would Khabib do if he can't handle someone striking. Just freaking keep him on the ground and try and submit Sean Brady. But I got Joaquin Buckley winning this fight. I just think he's way too dangerous for Sean Brady. Next up, we got up is Volkov versus Waldo Cortes Acosta. Listen, I'm kind of surprised that Volkov is the favorite for the fight and not Waldo. But listen, looking at Waldo Cortes Acosta last few fights, he dominated Spivak. I don't care if y'all said it was close. That fight was not close whatsoever. Spivak was just beating the dog. Was getting beat up by Waldo Cortes Acosta. Beat Sergey Blachowicz, which this fight that's what's my kind of concerns for this fight. Then he went in to beat Anthony Dillashaw. After getting that eye poked. Beat Shamil Gaziev, which we're starting to see how bad, but we're starting to see that fall down of Shamil Gaziev. Beat Derek Lewis, which he just made Derek Lewis look horrible. And I thought, and this was actually a fight where I actually thought he was going to lose. I thought he was going to lose to Ante Dillashaw for whatever reason. And I thought he was gonna beat Shamil. I thought he was also gonna listen. His last 3 fights, I kind of underestimated him. Listen, I thought he was gonna be Ante Dillashaw. I forgot exactly what reason I had. I just think just how he looked against Sergey Blachowicz, and I thought he was gonna lose to Shamil Gaziev. And the reason why, because he came out with an eye poke injury. He wasn't gonna have much time to train for the fight. And then I just thought he was gonna get knocked out by Derek Lewis because sometimes he can get caught off guard. So yeah, I've underestimated him in his last freaking 3 fights that he's had. But I'm not underestimating him this time. But like Volkov has some good kickboxing striking, and I feel like that's what we saw in how the weakness of Waldo Cortes Acosta and how we saw that in this fight with Sergey Blachowicz. But I got Waldo Cortes Acosta winning this fight by like a close decision. He's got fast hands, He's got a very good right hand. He used to play baseball. He was also, his fast hands come from boxing. This guy, I don't know if you guys know this, but bro was a professional boxer. Like, he didn't had no amateur fights, was a professional boxer before he was even an MMA fighter. And look how much success he's had in MMA. Volkov, listen, I thought he lost to Joan Almeida, which was a actually close fight, and here's why. Listen, he was putting the more damage on against Joan Almeida, but Joan Almeida was having a lot of control time, so it was either, listen, who gets the more points? Volkov for having the more damage, or Joan Almeida for having the more control time? And I feel like he was controlling him. And mind you, Volkov, you guys say he's got good takedown defense. I don't think he does. Look how he looked at Joan Almeida. This man could barely defend a takedown until the 3rd round where Joan Almeida got tired. It took him long enough to defend a takedown, so he does not have good takedown defense. Before that, I thought he lost to Cyril. I thought he beat Cyril Gahn. They freaking robbed him, bro. And then Dana White said, "Listen, we'll get you a title shot." Dude didn't even get a title shot after that. What title shot? Was Joel Almeida world champion or something? That we don't know. Was he some type of secret champion that they created or something? Like, what some type of? Well, I don't know. Was he a BMF world champion or whatever? Cause yeah, I don't think he was. So yeah, they kind of Volkov kind of got screwed over after the Shogun loss, but then John Almeida kind of got screwed over. But John Almeida recently got kicked out the UFC, and it was a boring fighter. But I just think just looking at his last performance against John Almeida, I think that's what's going to affect his fight with Waldo Cortes Acosta, because just looking how easily John Almeida could get him on the ground, even though obviously John Almeida and Waldo are different wrestlers, but like. Volkov is very tall, so very tall. So whatchamacallit, he's a tall guy, so it's easy for him to take down. The taller you are in the heavyweight division, I feel like it's kind of the more easier it is for you to get knocked out. No, not get knocked out, for you to get taken down. And I believe Waldo's going to use that. He's got good fight IQ. Sometimes he can be predictable with the striking. We get that, but I think he wins this by a close, maybe technical, maybe aggressive fight. A close, maybe split decision. Next up, we got up here in the co-main event. We got a fireworks, guys. A fight I'm looking forward to on the main cards. We got the co-main event for the flyweight championship title, Joshua Van and Tatsuro Taira. Looking at Tatsuro Taira's last 5 fights, beat Carlos Hernandez, beat Alex Perez, lost to Brandon Royval, which could have gone either way. Then went in and destroyed a prospect, Hung Sung Park. Hung Sung Park did take the fight on short notice. Beat the former 2-time champ Brandon Moreno, which I thought the stoppage was a little bullcrap. I thought Brandon Moreno could have got back up. I would at least wait at least another 20 seconds. Joshua Van, he had a press run too. Beat Cody Duran. Beat Ray Sharanya. Bruno Silva. Beat Brandon Royval, and in my opinion, the greatest flyweight fight of all time. And then, beat Alexandre Pantoja, which, that kind of was bullcrap. Listen, man, at the beginning of that fight, though, he managed to defend the first takedown, which I was curious to see, would he have been defending those takedowns the entire fight? And obviously, Joshua Van, I've seen him practice a lot of takedown defense in this fight, and his takedowns and his grappling is looking very sharp. Listen, if he can get the grappling This dude could be the Raw Tank, the UFC version of Raw Tank, guys. And if you guys don't know who Raw Tank is, he's a Muay Thai fighter. Had a lot of fights. You know, he recently just lost his last fight. But yeah, he could be like the UFC version of Raw Tank. This is a very good fight, but like I see Tatsuro submitting him in the fourth round with a triangle choke. Usually, I don't predict the exact what type of choke they're going to use, but for some reason, I think he's going to submit him with a triangle choke where he gets his legs against his head, pause, and he just tries to submit him. I think that's how he submits Joshua Van. I believe it's going to be a fun, entertaining fight while it lasts. And listen, I have a video that I posted of it. It was for UFC 327. I'm not going to explain too much. If you guys want to, you guys can go ahead and watch the video. I'll make sure I'll leave it down below. Link's in the bio at the end of the video. But I got Tatsuro winning this fight. Next up, we got up our main event. Woof. Khamzat Chimaev and Sean Strickland, bro. This is a entertaining fight. I cannot wait. Looking at Sean Strickland's last few fights, you know, pulling up the biggest upset of all time, in my opinion, over Israel Adesanya. You know, there could be arguments that Chris Weidman's, and Anderson Silva, the first one was a more bigger upset, but even then, I think that Anderson Silva was already on his way out. Dricus had a very fun, entertaining fight with Dricus du Plessis. Had a boring fight with Paulo Acosta. Fought Dricus again, got dominated, and then beat Anthony Hernandez, schooled him in a fight where I didn't think that he was going to win. He looked very good, and this performance in the takedown defense, the striking volume, him schooling Anthony Hernandez, he may have a better chance of winning this fight. Looking at Hamza's last 5 fights, him beating Gilbert Burns, Kevin Holland, Kamaru Usman, which I fight that I thought should have been a draw, beating Robert Whittaker and breaking his teeth with a submission, and demolishing Dricus du Plessis. Listen, the two people who gave Khamzat Chimaev the toughest fights were Gilbert Burns and Kamaru Usman. And it wasn't even from the wrestling. It was from the striking. And Sean Strickland has some of the most underrated striking we've ever seen in the middleweight division. Is it on Anderson Silva's level? I wouldn't necessarily say that. But he's got underrated striking. Listen, even in Khamzat Chimaev's fight with DDP, in that last round, he was nearly almost knocked out. And Sean Strickland has very good cardio. When have we ever seen Sean Strickland get tired? I can't even remember the last time this dude has ever got tired. This dude's always explosive. And I believe he's going to... here's what I think. I know people say the first 2 rounds, Khamzat Chimaev may dominate. I think the first round, Khamzat Chimaev may dominate. But then Sean Strickland may find the pace and it may start being a close fight. Listen. So if you got whoever's watching the video right now, I want y'all to comment because I'm picking Sean Strickland to win this fight by a decision. I have a question. If he loses this fight, comment down below what I should do if he loses this fight. I'm going with Sean Strickland, guys. I just think I think he's going to defend the takedowns, keep this fight in his pace. It's going to be by a close decision though. I don't think he's going to dominate Khamzat Chimaev. Ronaldo, I think Khamzat Chimaev is going to dominate him. But this will be the end of the video, guys. If you guys enjoy the content like this, I want y'all to like, subscribe, turn on notifications when you guys want to see when I upload. And I'm out. Peace, bro. Thank y'all for 84 subscribers. And make sure y'all share my videos with y'all friends and family. If they like watching the UFC or boxing, share my videos, guys. And I'll see y'all in the next one. I'm out. Peace.